Hi everybody, Pickbinder here. The lock in front of me is an Ikon R10. I would like to give you a quick overview about the lock. So the Ikon R10 is in principle a Mul-T-Lock MT5 Plus. Ikon and Mul-T-Lock, they both belong to SI Abloy, and the R10 is in that regards a branded MT5 Plus. The webpage of the Ikon R10 as well as the key, you can see it here. They refer to the MT5 or MT5 Plus logo and relevant patents. The R10 is targeted at the European market, and I found it to be a little bit cheaper than the MT5 Plus, especially if you consider that you get 2 cylinders if you buy one Euro lock. The R10, and obviously that also applies to the MT5 Plus, they both combine 3 different security mechanisms. First one is an interactive spring, or the so-called alpha spring. It's sitting at the front of the key. You can see it here. This is the alpha spring. And if I touch it from the bottom, you can see it moving. This spring interacts with a specific unique pin at the back of the lock. So that's the last chamber here. And there's a pin that interacts with this spring. You have 5 dimple pins here on the left side of the key. Those pins, they have counter milling, so that makes them especially nasty. And on the other side of the key here, this is for 5 sliders, or also called finger pins. They interact with one sidebar, and to make things even more difficult, they have all false gates. In this lock here in front of me, I've removed the sidebar, so that brings the lock down on the same level as an MT5. To pick this lock, I'm going to use 2 modified dimple picks. You can see them here. One is specifically made for the outer pins, that's this one, and one is made for the inner pins, this one. The head is a little bit smaller, a little bit narrower, therefore it's better for picking the inner pins. I used the Danube dimple picks that are available on Banggood. They are cheap, and in every case they need some kind of finishing, so that makes them perfect for picking locks like this, where you have to make specific tools anyways. And furthermore, I'm using a half diamond pick. That's from the Dangerfield Praxis kit. I love that kit. I think I've said that once or twice. So I will use that pick for setting the alpha pin. To tension the lock, I'm going to use a standard bottom of the keyway tensioner. And I guess that's it. So the following video was also recorded in my previous apartment, therefore the setup, lighting, etc. is a little bit different. That said, let's give it a try. Fast der Vollset. Noch 8 Minuten. Some quick afterthoughts. So this lock, it gave me quite a fight. I absolutely enjoy picking MTL and especially pin and pin locks like the junior or interactive one, but this one was in a different league for me. I guess the better tolerances and the smaller inner pins, they add a much higher difficulty to the lock. So in order to pick it successfully eventually, I had to progressively pin it. I just started with one single pin and pin, and every time I picked it successfully, I added another pin. Also worth to mention, if at some point you don't have any progression, check your setup, check your picks. So for example, in my case, I figured out that I was not able to set one inner pin as my pick was a bit too thick. Best way to test this is when your lock is disassembled, then you have a clear view and you can check and inspect everything. You can also check if you're, for example, oversetting other pins when you're doing that. What else? Yeah, another tip, and I learned that afterwards. Instead of using a standard button of the keyway tensioner, you can use a Z tensioner. And the Z tensioner is a little bit broader. And if you put it into the keyway like this, you can use it as some kind of guidance with your half diamond pick. So if you move it along the Z tensioner, you will eventually hit the alpha spring without any troubles or issues. So that makes it a little bit easier. I don't know where I got this tensioning tool from. I think it came with the dimple pick set, but I'm not totally sure. The last thing, and I guess you already saw it, I screwed up at some point. Pay attention when you reassemble the lock. So what happened? I mixed up the alpha pin with one standard driver pin. I put everything back together, and there's no way at this point to open the lock again, because you don't have any tools or any possibility to set the wrong driver pin in the chamber of the alpha pin. And there's no way around apart from cutting the Bible open and to remove the pins basically from the back. So just pay attention to that and don't make the same mistake. Guess that's everything. Have a good one.